In a couple of videos previously, I talked about how you can turn a sidebar on or off or choose to place that sidebar to the left or the right. Now let's understand how I can go under the Appearance menu and actually create and edit existing sidebars. So here's how we can do this. I'm just going to go to Appearance, and based on these choices, I'm going to go down to Sidebars. I'll be presented with this interface. All right, now here are the different sidebar names connected to those particular CSS class files of that particular sidebar. Now, unfortunately, the only thing we can do here is actually remove that particular sidebar, but I can also add a new sidebar. So I'm going to click right here, and I can add a new sidebar. Let's just call it My New Sidebar. And if I create a brand new sidebar, it will ask me what's the name of the class to target that sidebar. Now, this is rather important to understand that when I create my custom CSS, and I have a whole video series coming up just working with CSS and CSS div tags, CSS ID tags and CSS class tags, in this particular case, CSS class. So whenever you call your particular sidebar, you can talk to that particular class for the sidebar or create rules, H1, H2, type, etc., alignment left, alignment right, using the CSS sidebar rule. So the only thing I can do here is I can create a new sidebar which automatically assigns its class to talk to it in CSS. And I just wanted to share that with you. That's under Appearance, Sidebars, and you can apply the sidebar any place you choose. Now, rather than generically calling this My New Sidebar, in fact, notice that it does initial caps. So in this particular case, My New Sidebar would be conjoined initial caps, my, capital N, capital S. That's just so the eye can read it a little bit better. It's really not necessary to do that. In this particular case, it would make no logical sense to just have something called My New Sidebar. I would use this as a for instance to give it some kind of name that would make sense to you as its placement. So don't call your sidebars where it's going to be located, like sidebar left, sidebar right. Call it what it's going to be used for, because you don't want to pigeonhole something to say, well, if you call something my left sidebar, well, that means it just goes on the left. Well, as we know, we can put sideboards on the left and the right. We can put 2 on the left and 3 on the right, etc., etc. So call your sidebar something intelligent that makes sense for you next week, next month, next year. I'm going to remove that and say OK.